Bad Boy has come up with tons of new stuff in 2026. We're at the Bad Boy conference where they're showing all these new models for the first time. If you look down the line, this is a really unique opportunity that we can talk about so many different mowers at once. Everybody wants to get that groundbreaking stuff that is brand new. I'm going to catch most of these differences for 2026. This is the time that we have just figured this stuff out. So this very first one is this Rambler. So last year they did something really good and they came out with this new MZ Rambler. Now what was unique about this is they added this slope nose edge. There's a number of other changes from the handlebars and back, but they added this Kohler 22 horsepower engine, and I was really elated because this is a much better engine option. Now they raised the price. They still gave you the old engine option of a single cylinder Briggs & Stratton, which really keeps that price point down below that 3,500 range, which a lot of people are shopping at, but they have doubled down on it this year, and they're now giving a Kawasaki engine option. People really like Kawasaki's for the reliability factor, and they're going to give you multiple engine options. It's something that Bad Boy is known for. Now they're going to raise the price a little bit. I don't know the exact prices in some of these. That's where you watch the video later on that we're going to do, and we'll get into a lot of details, but I think it's just really interesting to see what these innovations are and what they're changing. So that's one thing. And then I didn't hear it mentioned at the conference, but just looking before this video started, this I don't love. I didn't even hear it talked about. This is more of a hardened plastic chute. Bad Boy's known for having these rubber chutes. It seems like there's some kind of pin system or some way that this locks up. That's really unique. That still looks like a pretty durable material. It's not like a cheap chintzy plastic, so there may be something kind of hard molded there. And again, I don't know if that's something they're doing on this model or what. More details to come on that. So let's keep kind of going down the line. These are things that were new this year in that Magnum series, which is the next level up. And again, they're giving you a Kawasaki engine option on this 60-inch Magnum. And if you watch the channel, you know I talk a lot about transmissions, and every time you go up in that Bad Boy line, or any line for that matter, you're going to get a bigger and better transmission. And that matters because that is the longevity you're looking at that transmission. It's going to move faster when you get into bigger transmissions, but it's going to last that much longer when you're putting it on hills and longer mow times. Now these Magnums come with a ZT 2200 transmission. This is a 60-inch deck. That was something that was new for Bad Boy last year, and they only gave you the Kohler engine option. Again, they've doubled down to give you more engine options, something Bad Boy is known for, and they do give you the Kawasaki this year as well. So in that Rambler series and the Magnum series, on a couple of models, they're now giving you more engine options. Kawasaki being one of the most coveted engines, one of the most requested engines that we get in our shop. Bad Boy, they're listening yet once again. Now the Avenger series got a huge facelift last year, one of the only models that it's standard to get the LED lights. Now for some reason, they made that an option on the Avenger. I kind of thought I would see it on more models for 2026, but they didn't. So nothing really changed in this Avenger series. It was a very popular model for us this year because they got some nice upgrades. They give you a nice plush seat. I like what they're doing on this, but really no changes on that Avenger series. When you think of Bad Boy and you think of the most popular models that we sell, it's ZT Elites, it's Mavericks, and then of course you get into the really nice suspension elements up into the R series. But these two models, the ZT Elite and the Maverick, they get some very significant changes with it being their most popular thing. One thing Bad Boy is always trying to do is they're trying to give you awesome value. So they're trying to give you a mower that's at a better price point than what's typical to the competition, but they're going to jam-pack value. Now, one thing that's really unique on the ZT Elite is they're giving you a rubber bushing up front. This whole piece is on a suspension piece, and that's something that's unique to the ZT Elite that you don't see on other mowers in its class. They've doubled down on value because if you look under this, this was an accessory option and it's still an accessory option, but you're gonna see Bad Boy's kind of known for doing these rubber isolator elements. Now there's other brands that have done things that are similar underneath the seat, and typically it's only at really high commercial levels. But Bad Boy now at a more standard level, this is normally a $300 option. Now I don't know where the prices change, if they're exactly in line with where they were or it's went up just a smidge, but I think they're giving it to you for way less than that. As you watch other future videos from us, you're going to get that pricing. We try to be really transparent with stuff, but these rubber isolator pieces, when you are going across undulations, of course you're going to get some nice frame suspension. That's going to help the frame, it's going to help the person sitting there. But if I push on the seat in these little subtle ways, you can see that these rubber bushings will absorb you. That's going to add a ton of comfort, because one thing with the Elite is they add the rubber bushings up front. There isn't necessarily frame suspension in the back. It's the user that's sitting here that's going to benefit from all these rubber bushings right here, and you're going to add one more layer of comfort to this whole thing. And it's not incredibly expensive to do something like this, but it makes a huge difference on these subtle things that you feel as you're going across the ground. So that to me is really significant. It's just a smart move. This is already something they had in their arsenal as an accessory. They're not making an accessory anymore. Now it's a standard. Now what we absolutely love that they changed on the 2025 models and lower for ZT Avenger and back, which I talked about at the start, is that slope-nosed edge. Well, now they've added that. It's something they've got on the low series. It's something they had up on the R series. And now they're doing it on the ZT Elite. So if you look at this, it's not a hugely pronounced edge, but you have this slope-nosed edge. Now what that's doing is giving a little more protection up front on the deck, but it's encapsulating these front anti-scalp wheels. It's protecting them a little bit better. It's going with the theme of everything else for Bad Boy that's giving that consistent vibe. And again, these are the most popular models that we sell, is that ZT Elite and the Maverick. So if you look next to the Maverick, you're getting the same sort of thing here, right? You're getting that slope-nosed edge. They carry that same 7-gauge deck. Bad Boy is known for having the thickest gauge decks in the industry. These gauges you typically are not seeing unless you're in commercial mowers of other levels. The other change for the ZT Elite and the Maverick series is they have different seats that are on here as well. The seats are different. I like the designs of the old ones, but if I actually get on this, it's like this rubberized, tougher material. I think this is something that's gonna hold up better for Bad Boy. The ZT Elite before, they had some different seat options. I don't know if it's gonna be different for every model across the board, or they're gonna stay with this one consistent seat. My guess is that they'll stick with this one consistent seat, but you do have these kind of breathers to give you a little bit of ventilation. It's something they're making unique on the ZT Elite series. Again, one of their most popular models. And then if you look over, the same kind of thing is going on here. It's a totally different seat, but it's that same sort of just really tough, almost rubberized type material. So when you're sitting out here in the sun, I feel like it'd be hot, for me to sit down on, but most of the time, obviously you're storing this, in shade, you go out. But I think it's a nice seat that even though you don't get the ventilation up top, they're giving you a little bit of room here with these two pieces. So those are some kind of unique style things. Bad Boy's always doing that. I think they're giving you kind of a facelift as far as what this console looks like up front as well. But those are the big changes, I think, in the 2026 stuff. I do like stuff that I'm seeing. I love the consistency of the decks. Now, it's unique that every single Bad Boy model is here. So some of the things have changed, some of the things have not. This is a model, the Bad Boy Raider, that I've probably only sold one of. We have not done videos on the channel with the Raider. This is a large walk-behind machine. It seems like stand-on is sort of taking over the market, that if you're going to be standing, it's nice that you could be on a platform. If you look at how long the Raider series is, this is something that's really good for hills. Sometimes people simply want to be walking, and it depends on the context of that. If you're a commercial landscaper, the Raiders, just like everything else, a really heavy duty, well-built machine. And like I said, if you're a hillside type guy, I think this would bode really well. And it's also, at a better price point than you get on a traditional zero turn, but still is hydrostatic. So you got something that's really powerful, robust as far as what it's going to offer you. And we're most of the way through these changes as we go through. Keep in mind, guys, I'm normally in this Michigan weather. Look at me, we got the Florida heat going. I know there's stuff going around. We normally have better audio, but I think there's something about that groundbreaking stuff as you see it. Maybe this one's not quite highly as edited, but I think you guys appreciate seeing what's happening at ground level with Bad Boy. So most of the stuff moving forward, I'm going to talk about maybe just some machines we don't always see because I don't always have them in front of me on the channel. But there's certainly some changes, for these models in 2025 and some kind of tweaks, some little things to look at in 2026. But as we go past, the Revolt X, that was something that was new last year. We've talked about that on the channel quite a bit. Anytime you're seeing the X series, this is something that is new this year. Anytime you see the X, you get tweel options with Bad Boy. What they're changing in 2026 is they made it optional in 25. You could get those X series mowers with the tweels or without. It seems like across the board, if you see an X moving forward, it's going to be a 2026 model with tweels. So something to kind of be looking at anytime you see an X series on these mowers. I kind of quickly went past that Maverick HD. Everything is really remaining pretty much the same. This seat remains the same as last year and doesn't have those isolators, but when you get that premium suspension seat, it does absolute wonders. And you notice on the deck here, you're getting that slope nose edge. Looks like back on that Raider series, they didn't do that. I don't know if that's something they would change. That's the only one, it seems like, that doesn't have that slope nose edge moving forward. So the Rogue, this is probably my favorite mower that Bad Boy has to offer if I've got big acreage. One thing that was new last year, they went with this computerized screen. They only did it for the Kawasaki EFI option, and it's just a really nice interface the way it looks. Now, again, you look at stuff on the channel, one of the new ones, they've got this hybrid model in the Rebel series, and they're dropping that, in that. I gotta think moving forward, they might throw the screen into more stuff. They're keeping it only on the Kawasaki, it looks like, moving forward. They haven't went across the board and put that screen on everything. A lot of this stuff's kind of groundbreaking stuff that I don't see another Rogue that's out here that does not have the Kawasaki engine. This is the Revolt series. I do believe in that conference they said on the Revolt SDs, which is their smaller model. The Revolt is just a standard. It's got the big chassis. It's got the 3-gauge deck on it like you see when you get into the R series mowers. I think on the Revolt SDs this year, they're going to offer a Kohler engine option instead of only the Kawasaki. Now, typically the Kohlers are a little bit more affordable engine options. So does that mean they're going to get even more aggressive on the price? That's something, you know, we'll see moving forward. And then we'll kind of keep going up. Again, this is a Revolt X, and look, it's got the wheels like I said. This is the Vanguard EFI 40 horsepower engine. A lot of EFI lovers out there, a lot of Vanguard lovers out there, and the 40 horsepower engine, this is as big an engine as you can possibly get. You know, I talk a lot on the channel, and I talk about Kawasaki, Kohler, the fuel efficiency debate. If you look, I did a video up here on this, and this is also more of a fuel sipping machine. It seems like I've seen that in more forums as of late, talking about how fuel efficient you get with these Vanguard engines. And of course, with Vanguard, they have the oil guard systems. I think I asked quick questions with some of the bad boy reps about that, and I think the way they design their chassis and the way that everything fits in here, they don't have quite enough space to fit that oil guard system. I don't know if that's the only reason we're not seeing oil guard. Oil guard is a 500-hour oil change if you have not heard of it. So nothing you're gonna see on bad boys, but you do get that big block Vanguard as an option in the 40 horse, you know, for the Rebel X. So we move on to the Rebel. And I mentioned not a lot of changes. Now all these mowers, one thing that I was told by my rep that I haven't looked incredibly close to is right here. So it's got these front isolators, and this allows the deck not to move back and forth. We've seen some issues. If we get a camera angle right in here, I've seen some issues with some brakes right in this point. I believe what they've changed to in 2026 is a cast iron piece here. I think you're gonna see a lot less brakes with this. And it was, to me, one of those weak points. Again, bad boy listens. So this is something they saw, not crazy amounts of issues, but more than they'd like to see. And they changed some of those structural components. So you're gonna see just that much more reliability. And then I just told you, when you see the X, you're gonna see wheels, and then it's like they're making a liar out of me because you got a double wheeled system right here. This is something that I imagine if you can only get this in the wheel option, that you'd have to ditch the wheels and buy 2 tires. I don't know if you can order from the factory this double setup right here. You got to order it afterwards, but this is something that gives you a really wide wheelbase, and it's going to be just an awesome hillside type mower. So this is one of the first times I've seen this up close in person, and it's just a behemoth. You can get a 72-inch. So I think if you were a commercial guy and you had a lot of hillside type properties, or you just constantly had this ditch you were dealing with, or these really big open areas that are constantly undulating, a big 72-inch deck with the wheels is just an awesome setup. So as far as changes to those R series mowers and above, it's really not much. It's just this piece. That was a simple fix for them. I like that they did that. And then lastly, not a change, but we've talked and we've had a Renegade on the channel, but I have not stocked that diesel engine option. This is the Perkins diesel engine right here. This thing is just an absolute tank when you turn it on. This is something that's going to have just really low end power, torque in there. Maybe you have other stuff on your property. Maybe it's more of like a ranch type feel. You got other diesel type things, and they're just absolute diesel lovers, and you want to have that consistency across the board. You can get that with bad boys. So one thing that we absolutely love about the Rogue mowers and the Renegade mowers is if you look under the rear end of these machines right here, this has a 3-link trailing arm. So how this rides and the suspension you get is really awesome. You know, if you look over, you know, here on the Renegade side, the same type of thing. It's got a horizontal shaft engine, which is different. You're going to have like a mule drive belt coming underneath, but the 3-link part, if I push down on this, you're going to see suspension is the exact same thing going on here. Now, to me, it only makes sense. Again, I've sold some Renegades, but if you're gonna go to the Renegade series, to me, do it if you want that diesel option. And if you don't necessarily need the diesel option, it's just a longer mule drive belt. The setup that's here is set up really well if you need the diesel, because this will not fit in that Rogue setup. But if you're going gas, I just like sticking with the Rogue. If you do want the diesel option, go with this. Go with the Perkins diesel. And you know, diesel is going to get more expensive. This is probably a better price diesel again than you're going to find with most things on the market. So this is pretty much all that's new. The only thing I didn't cover here is Bad Boy on the Rebel series, and it's not out right away. It's not coming out in Q1, but they're giving you a hybrid Rebel, a hybrid. So this is electric with an onboard generator to kick the batteries back on and power the electric deck to power the electric wheel motors. Just a totally different thing. That's something we might see at the end of 2026, but maybe more likely in 2027. This is stuff you could probably expect to see at your dealers early in the spring or coming over winter. So a different style video from normal, but man, what an opportunity that we're here at the conference to see all of these different mowers at one time and for you to quickly see what Bad Boy has to offer. If you're in the market for a Bad Boy mower, all those things I point out and what typically you see on the channel is price points that come along with that. And with all of these machines, you are going to get a better price. You're going to get a better value with Bad Boy. So it's something totally unique, something unique that you see such heavy duty rugged components, all these suspension things that I keep talking about, all things that for a Bad Boy are standard. So you get just awesome innovation year after year after year. Bad Boy has been a company that's been around since 2002 versus many other competitors that have been the early 1900s. You got that longevity, but what's unique to Bad Boy, the amount of market share that they've grabbed, and what we've learned when we've been at this conference is how much they continue to eat up of the market share, and it's because they constantly are innovating. They are constantly changing. They're constantly listening. Is Bad Boy perfect? It's not perfect, but they're giving you tremendous value, and the things that aren't perfect, they continue to tweak. They continue to get better, and so it's awesome. You can see the passion that I've got for Bad Boy, definitely from, you know, seeing the conference, seeing everything that's new. There's a whole host of construction equipment that's coming out that's brand new to Bad Boy as well. This is just the mower side that I'm talking. So keep watching the channel. You'll see all the innovations from Bad Boy. Till the next one, we'll see you.